Hello and welcome to my video. Now, you're not going to see me painting this from the beginning because for the simple fact that I didn't video it. So, this was a few years ago. Well, no, is it that long? I don't know. Maybe it's just about a year ago that I painted this. It's completely dry. So what I'm going to show you today is a bit of glazing. Because I think the picture's okay, but I want to just get a little bit more of, I don't know what I want to get in it, something anyway. It's got drama, but I want more. I'm a greedy pig and I want more drama. Okay, there's never enough drama. Only in paintings though, I don't want them in my life. I've had enough of that. I just want it in my paintings. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on today. This is on a piece of card. It's Canson card, which I'm sure you can get anywhere, but I think it's a French make. It's not very big, as you can see, compared to the size of my hand. And in fact, the measurements are 39 centimeters that way and 29 that way, in inches on the screen anytime soon. So, as I said, completely dry, except I did put a tiny little bit of red on there last night just as an experiment, but I'll be doing a little bit more of that. I'll be intensifying the whites on the clouds, maybe darkening the top a little bit, maybe lightening it in there, the blue, I'm not sure yet. And something more to the land. It's quite a nice sunbathed landscape, but I think I might try and enhance that a little bit more. And the colours I'm going to use, and anything else I can see lying around that takes my fancy at the time, because with painting and me, that tends to be the case. Colours I'm going to use are phthalo blue, sap green, royal blue, titanium white, primary yellow, and another blue which I just squirted out here, and I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was possibly ultramarine, but I'll let you know when I get to it. I'm not sure if I'll be using transparent oxide red or red ochre, depending on where you come from. It's red ochre here, and then I think in the States it's transparent oxide red. But if you can't get either of those, you can use burnt sienna. Just add a bit of red to it if you want, but not too much. Don't go over the top with that. I'll be using a few quite small brushes compared to what I normally do. Probably just these three, for those who are interested in brushes. This is a filbert. It's a black hog from Jackson's of London, and it's series 335, that one. And it's quite a soft brush, and it's good for just sort of smearing colour, because there's not going to be any finicky painting on this. This one here is a Le Franc-Bourgeois, what do they call this one? It's I think it's a 32-6. Who knows? But anyway, it's nice and soft, as you can see, I hope. And another one, which is also Le Franc-Bourgeois, and it's a 2012. It could be 20, that could be the series, and the size 12, I don't know. It's worn off actually quite a lot. And again, this is quite a soft sort of brush, as you can see. Again, just for chucking colour on. And a lot of the painting will be done with this stuff, as you know by now. Paper towel. It's quite thin, it's going to wobble a bit, but the good thing about this painting is it's so small I can stand right out of the way, and the only thing that you'll see hopefully is my hand and not my shoulder. Some people say more shoulder. No, I'm kidding, they don't say that. They say never mind your shoulder. So linseed oil, which I've put on one of the last few of my plastic plates, and I'm working on a glass palette on a table over here to the left. Now, what do I want to do first? Well, I think I'm going to try something on the landscape, and that is just to put some yellow into it. Now, yellow is not a colour I use much, but I think black. I think it's quite popular. It's just not awfully popular with me. And I'm mixing it with quite a lot of oil, so it's really quite thin, which means that when I put it on the painting, you'll be able to see through it. It's quite transparent. And as usual, there's a cat hair on my palette. How did that get there? Must be the cat, I suppose. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on here, like so, just everywhere across the landscape. All the way down there, right the way across. Okay, this is just a sort of, well, it's not, is it painting or is it applying colour? Because the painting is probably going to be mostly done with the paper. So let's just put a bit of yellow on there. It looks great in the camera, it looks absolute rubbish here, but it's how it will finish up. That's the important thing. So on your road to finishing up, don't worry about making a mess. Now I've already got some yellow on that field there, so I'm going to intensify just that bit there with just a little bit more paint and slightly less oil. And then I'm going to start reversing what I've done and taking the paint off. It sounds really silly, I know, but for glazing, that's what you do. You put the paint on, you take the paint off, but you're selective about where you take it off and how much you take it off. So just a little bit of wiping, as you can see there. That bit now has gone back to the way it was, but I've left that bit above it, and I've left that for now, but I'll be working on that in a second. So turning the paper so that I've now got a clean bit of paper. The yellow that I've wiped off is inside that now. So over toward the horizon, I want to reduce the yellow again, just a bit, not too much, just in fact just one wipe I think might do that. And then here, I think below that field, I'll take it off. Don't worry about the odd streak being left, that's all part of the process. It just, to my way of thinking, it sort of improves the painting to have a little bit of unpredictable texture in there. Some of that I like. I like the lines across there, which I think you can see. Yeah, it just gives that distant look of detail, because obviously in the distance detail is reduced, but you still want the feeling that it is still there. So I think I'm happy with that actually, except for there. I'm going to bring back some trees just there. Just a touch. There we go. So down here there's a few texture lines. I'm just going to simplify them a bit. And for the next minute or two, that's all I'm going to do on the land. But I will be coming back. Except I've just seen something. I just want that little bit of dark there. There we go. Right, so that's the first stage. The next stage, I could use the same brush because it's so oily. I could just wipe that and take it off. But I'm going to leave it on there for now because I might be going back to that. So we'll just store that over here. The next thing is a little bit of oil again with some Payne's grey and a little bit of phthalo blue. So this is going to be dark, quite dark in fact, and I'm not putting as much oil in. Now people ask me about the ratio of oil. Well, as long as it's not dripping off the brush. It's got to be loose, but not dripping. In fact, I could shake that like that at the painting, and as you can see, I hope, nothing is coming off. So I'm going to start to just push a little bit up here, a little bit more across there. This is I hope, a quick video. I often start my videos and say, right, I'm going to keep this one as fast as possible, and they always seem to end up around about an hour, and that's fine. A lot of people like that, but I would like to do some videos where I basically get the message over of what I'm doing quite quickly, because some people, I don't know, maybe they don't have the time to watch the whole video. I'm not sure what the case is there, but and I'm sure people do come back to a video, you know, they watch it in stages, which also is, you know, that's fine. I have no complaints there. Let's just have a little bit of something there. So, as you can see, that didn't take long. And again, same sort of thing. Oh, well, actually, I think I'll have some dark up there too. Let's have a little bit up there. See, it's almost like just sort of scrubbing the colour on. And you have a lot of control when you do this sort of thing. You don't have to be fiddly. You can be as loose as you want, because this is just applying the paint, and it's not highly skilled or technical painting. Okay, so that's that. Another bit of paper. I'm not adding oil to the paper. It's just dry, because there's enough oil on there. And all I'm going to do now is just, as I did with the ground, just wipe back a bit, just to mute it slightly. In some places I'm muting it more, and others not so much. So I'm taking away most of the brush marks by doing this sort of spiral motion here. It seems to tidy everything up. Okay, so let's just pull a few lines across there. Okay. Right, so that's got a nice flat tone, colour on the painting. And I know obviously, because I painted it, I know that there are light bits underneath here that I can now expose a little bit more. Once that starts to get like this, you need to turn it so that you've got a clean bit of paper doing the work. I think you can tell how thin the card is. By the way, this card, you don't buy it ready to paint on, because it's quite absorbent. It's thin, probably only maybe even 2 millimeters, if that, 2 millimeters thick, possibly less. And I applied 3 coats of gesso, and I did do a little bit of sanding, not much, didn't need much really, because there's no real wood grain to cover. It's just the texture of card. Bring that little bit of light up there. Have to tighten that. It's so thin. This thing doesn't grip it very well, but I could have taped it to a piece of wood. And that would have helped, but I didn't, so let's not worry about it. A little bit of light back through there, just a touch. Okay. And now I think a bit of red into the sky. So there's obviously it's either a thunderstorm about to hit or one passing, I'm not sure. Do I want to use red ochre, or do I just want to use red? I think I'm just going to use red. So I've got a little bit of Japanese red on this plate here, so I'm going to just scoop some of that off onto my palette. Don't need a lot. I mean, it's literally the size of how big is it? It's about a lump of paint the size of my fingernail. And all I'm going to do, might not even bother with a brush, I think. I'll I'll put a bit of oil in it, not much, just enough to loosen it. I don't want it, as I said, slopping around all over the place. I just want it loosened up to the point where, same as with the blue and the Payne's grey, I don't want it dripping. So I'm going to apply that with this small, even smaller brush. Just loosely. The real work comes with the paper. So I think that should have a little bit of something in there. Now, the thing about glazing, I might, if this is really fast, this video, I might even pull up another painting that I started and do it on a bigger scale for you. So there goes my idea of trying to keep this brief, but I'll do my best to keep it quite brief. So a little bit of red in there. I'm sort of leaning towards putting the red on the downside of the clouds over that way. So the light is coming across here. And although I don't usually worry about where the light's coming from, not consciously anyway, because I think after a while it becomes quite instinctive. I mean, it's not rocket science. The light's coming from there, or there, or there, or across from low. You just get a feeling for it as you progress through your painting. So there we are. Made another mess. And let's see, what should we do here? I think just a little touch there. Nothing up here because I've got plans for that later. Okay, so there we are. There's a bit of red. That's that brush finished. And another piece of paper, which I might add is all recycled, and it gets recycled again. Now, a little hint, again, simple. There's my piece of paper. The bit that I want to wipe with needs to be flat. So what I do is I fold it over so that I have a flat surface there. For wiping, that's what you need. If you wipe with the other side, you'll get streaks and lines all over the place. So you want it quite flat. And again, all I'm going to do is just sort of push these around, just to take the edge off them a little bit. There we are, a little bit of warmth in the sky. Is it warmth or is it threat? Is it a threatening sky or a warm sky? Okay, depends how you look at life. Now then, so there's a little touch of red. This painting, did I mention it? I don't think I did. No, this is for a friend of mine and his wife, John and Roz. I've known John for, I think it's almost, wow, it's got to be heading towards 20 years, maybe slightly less, maybe 18, about 18 years, I suppose. John is the publisher of my book, which is a crime novel, which is available on Amazon. Not that I'm trying to sell it, because it sells really badly, because I'm not in England to promote it, I think. It's got some good reviews anyway, if you like crime novels. So there we are, that's that. So John, he's been after me painting a boat, because he's into yachting. He has a nice boat, he's got a Cornish crabber. And I go sailing with him whenever I'm in England. Heavens knows when that'll be happening again now, what's going on. But we'll see. So this is a thank you painting, because since I've known him, I've designed pretty well every book that his publishing company publishes. In fact, I even designed my own book, and it's quite a few thousand books now, which is quite a contrast between painting. It's quite precise sort of work, and it sort of makes a bit of a break every now and then. Just take a little bit of light back up into there. See, I'm adding different layers of cloud by pushing hard and wiping back, pushing lightly and not wiping back. Mixing the colours a little bit more as I touch it, and that adds interesting colours to your painting. It makes it multi-dimensional. I think that's probably a good way to explain that. So anyway, right, where are we now? Let's get a... Just going to clean my palette knife. That's the red, incidentally, that I put on there. And of course it doesn't look like this on there because it's mixing. It's obvious, really. If you're a painter, you know that. Even if you're not a painter, it just makes sense. So yeah, so this is a thank you painting for him being, and his wife, extremely nice people, and thank you for all the work you gave me. Right, so, wow, it's still giving me. I'm going to put in a few bits of white here. And John, I will paint your boat as soon as I can get a decent photograph of it. I can remember landscapes when I see them, but the technical things about boats are tricky actually, because they don't follow the rules of perspective, because they're curved. They're curved in every direction pretty well, so it's quite hard to work out your perspectives unless you have a reference in front of you. And I've tried to photograph it, not to much success, but in fact, if I do get back to England again anytime soon, if I can do it, I'm not sure what the rules are over there, maybe I'll bring my drone, and then when we go out sailing again I can get some shots from the air. The only, of course, the downside to that is you've got to get your drone back, and you have to be quite a good pilot to get it to come back so you can catch it in the air, because landing on a boat is not going to be easy. That'll be real. Actually, that'd be fun, but you don't want to drop one of these in the English Channel, because they don't float and they're not cheap. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to take this bit of cloud just to the edge, because that's something I tell everyone to do. Just a little hint of it going off outside the picture, and a little bit that side as well, a bit more. Yeah, glazing. If you have any paintings lying around that you aren't satisfied with and they're dry, you can change a painting quite dramatically, very easily. It's very forgiving. So if I decide that I don't like this, I can take all of this paint off. I wouldn't use turpentine. I would just put a load of oil on this paper and just wipe it off, and then start again. But that doesn't usually happen now, and I think that's because obviously it's experience. Right. And whatever you do when you do things like this, don't be afraid. Just go for it. If you're going to be afraid all your life of painting because you may make a mistake, that will stop you painting. So what you could try and get in your mind is that, well, I can spend, as I just said, I can spend my life afraid to put paint on a board or a canvas and never produce a painting. Or I can just do it and see what happens. And you never know. It may be, you may produce a masterpiece. Okay, so there we are. Clouds can be this simple, particularly if you can get your painting to stay on the easel. It always helps. So there we are. These aren't bright white clouds. There's a little bit of brightness in there, but I'm trying to be a bit selective, and I want. I mean, that's going to be a focal point there, I guess. I want to just get the feeling, just the emotion. A lump of white paint there that needs to go. So, right, now then, what should we do now? I think a bit of clean paper. That one's had it. Now, the land. I'm going to put a shadow, I think, on the land to get the attention here and here. And I like the light in the distance. But this down here, I don't like this and this, these repetitive shapes. It's like when people paint clouds, they will paint a bobbly thing and then they'll think, oh, that's good, I'll do another one. So you get repeats everywhere. It's not just new painters that do this. Look at the old masters, they occasionally did it. And I don't know whether they were, maybe they were aware of it, I don't know, maybe they were aware of it when they finished the painting later, but it's good to know about this before you actually get into painting. Don't make repeat patterns. Nature doesn't do it. If it does do it, which is rare, it may look good in a photo, but it won't look good in a painting. You just have to trust me on that one. Okay, so some of the texture of the board is showing through, that's okay. You can either leave it if it's not too mechanical, or just smudge it very gently, just a touch, and that will take it away. So I'm going to pick up some of this white, hardly, well, it looks blue on there, but there is white in it, so that when I put it down here, I can just add a few more layers of something going on. There's a way of looking at it. I'm going try explaining that to a student. I'm going to add a layer of something going on. And I'm sure to some people that will make perfect sense. Some will not understand, but there you go. Now, careful. See? 1, 2. So easy to do it. So the way to get around it is to connect them like so. And then I want a little something across there. Now, I'm just putting it on loosely at the moment. Right, again, that's finished. Another piece of paper. I'm just going to touch it a little bit just to sort of break up that line all the way across. Right, I think that is almost it for the sky. Except, here we go. Me and my mind changing. Just going to try something. I'm just going to put a couple of lines there, just a few little bits like so. Because as clouds come down to the horizon, they tend to get flatter. I know it's a generalization, but it does happen sometimes, and it's happening in this one. So let's just do that. See how it looks from a few feet away. Okay, it's getting there. So just going to calm them down a bit now. Quite bright. Take the edge off them a little bit just by touching it with a piece of paper like that. Right, okay, reasonably happy with that. Now, the next thing is down here. I want it simplified. And as I said, I've got this shape, and I just don't really think they're quite right. So I've got my dark brush, which has got Payne's grey and a bit of blue in it. So I'm going to add a touch of green and sap green, very dark green, sap green, wonderful colour, so versatile, because it's dark until you add oil. When you add oil and spread it around a bit, it suddenly becomes light. So I'm not going to use much. Just enough to take away some of the things that are going on down the bottom. So that first field has now calmed down a little bit. I think I want it even calmer. Sorry if the thing is wobbling a bit, but that's next time I work on a small painting like this, I will tape it to a board, I think, because otherwise it's going to get irritating. So here, right, loads and loads of sap green. I don't think I even want light much on that field. I think we'll just keep that quite dark. In fact, maybe even darker, and I think to get that I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. Green, when you add red to it, becomes much more interesting than just green. Once you add the red element, which becomes sort of browny, it's much more interesting. So there we are, and darker too, as you can see there. So let's just put a few strokes across the bottom there, just with the tops of these trees just poking up. I might even do a bit more, will I? I'm continually asking my questions. I'm continually asking myself questions when I paint. Do I like it? Do I not like it? And the answer is always there. Go by gut feeling. Whatever's the first thing that comes into your head. Do I like it? Do I not like it? And then you just see what pops up. Okay, so that's even more there, I think. And I'm wondering. Now this is quite nice here. There's quite a nice bit of perspective. Do I want to mute that down just a little bit more, so that it's more of a slither? The answer to that question is yes, I do. So I'm going to do it. If I don't like it, obviously I can change it. So I'm just going to bring that line up, and with a bit of texture in it, you know, by fiddling the brush. You have to learn to jiggle, you know. Painting isn't right unless it's got some jiggle in it. And a few little bits poking up that break into, you see, the light is already there. That's the good thing about this. Because the light is there, I can put dark objects on it and some of the light shows through. I don't have to then add light bits. So just to repeat that again, dark over light means that the light that exists can stay there and it can look. See, if I do this, I wonder whether I should zoom in here. Now, if I zoom in later when I'm editing the video, it gets a bit grainy, but I think looking in the viewfinder, you can probably see enough, I think. I'll try it later anyway. Because the brush is quite scraggly, no, there's a new word, scraggly, right. It's got lots of hairs poking out all over the place. So you've got to use things like that. You see, those little bristles that are going off doing their own thing actually make very interesting texture. And the texture is the thing in the painting that looks like distant detail. So as you can see here, you can see the tops of trees in front of the field that's behind, and it just gives it another bit of depth. I'll do a little bit more down here, and I might even do something over there. That'll concentrate the eye on the light down here and hopefully up to the middle of the painting. So I've got these textures here, which I'm quite pleased with, I have to say. As textures go, they are good quality textures. Take that right up to there. Okay, one likes that. Same brush, a little bit more paint on it, not a lot though, hardly any. Now over here, or down there, this is going to be tricky because of the easel. How am I going to do this? I'm going to do it sideways and look in the viewfinder and see what you can see. Okay. Now, because I thought this painting was finished, by the way, I've got my signature there, which I just use a very thin, sharp, Sharpie, I suppose, because it's easier than trying to do a signature with a paintbrush. So I'm going to lose that signature. So this is going to be one of my paintings that's got the rare quality of being signed twice. So, right, goodbye signature, which you can't see anyway. So I'm just going to put stuff there, just to indicate something. So there's a hill coming down there now. A little bit of a hill like that, except I can barely see it in my camera because the stuff on the screen all the different things that my camera's telling me are right in the way, so I can't quite see that. Never mind. And then along the top edge of that, I'm going to put a few bumps. Bumps are wonderful things. Right, so this is important point, so I'll just tell you this. When you're doing anything like this, always get it in your mind, brainwash yourself, so that you are ready to stop. Because as soon as you get your desired result, you need the back off. So in other words, if I just touch that there and I'm happy with these marks, see, I carefully work on them. As soon as I think it's okay, back away. And you'll thank me for that eventually one day, I hope. Or thank yourself for doing it. Now, so we've got nice exciting-ish sky. I hope you find it exciting. I'm going to, yeah, we've got good light hitting the land. And now, the only other part that's a little bit limp is there. So I'm going to do a similar thing. I've got a bit of a shadow, and logically, I know that these things happen on landscapes. You get little patches of shadow travelling across. This one's a bit odd because you've got light, dark, light, dark. It just doesn't seem quite right. So I think I'll make it into something that is more believable. So I'm going to put in some even darker bits there that will, I hope, look a little bit like a wood in the distance. Okay, just checking the viewfinder of my camera again. Right, there, a couple of little, just I don't know what you call them, things, and a little bit there. Now, obviously, I've made a mess on the field below. So, as you know by now, this is the glazing stage, which means that if I want to tidy it up, all I do is just get a piece of paper and then wipe it back, like so. So now, I'm hoping that we have something that looks vaguely like a distant wood. A wood copse or thicket. And I think that might help. I don't know, sometimes I make marks on a painting and I think, well, is this going to work? So I do it anyway, just to see what happens. And this is something you need to work on so that you have no fear. But have I gone far enough on this painting? I think actually I might be there. I think that's okay. So I'm going to stop this one. Hopefully that hasn't gone on too long. And maybe I will grab another quick big painting that I did, well, bigger, and just do a quick bit of glazing on a sky, see how it goes. Okay, so this is something I did as a demo, quite a while ago now, maybe also a year ago. It's just, I think it was only possibly 20 minutes to get to that stage, and that's really just using sap green, red ochre, royal blue, Payne's grey, titanium white, tiny bit of red in the sky just there, but I'm going to sort of try and bring it all up a little bit, make it a bit more intense. And the sky is quite big. There's the sky all the way up there, so I'll do something to that. But first thing, I think, is a little bit of work on the landscape. Very quick addition of some light green. Just tighten up my camera without wobbling too much. Okay, so there we are. I think that's locked. And I'm going to put my focus on manual so that when I get in the way, well, I try not to get in the way, of course. That's my main, one of my main purposes in life is to keep out of the way. It doesn't always work, but there you go. So this is as I said, completely dry. It's got a few spots on it, which are just a bit of paint that have flown off another painting that I've done, and obviously hit the hit the board. So what I'm going to do here is, I think I'm going to use this brush which has got yellow on it, okay, and I'm going to mix that with some light green. This is not a mystery colour, it is called light green, and it seems to be light hitting grass without trying. So let's get some of that on the palette, and a little bit of oil as usual. So it's got a bit of yellow in it, so it's going to get slightly lighter, obviously, because what was on the brush, and it'll end up looking like that. Okay, so it's quite bright. So let's just put some in there. Not going to spend a long time on this one. This is the quick glazing effect. So let's just put a little bit in the ground. I think a bit there. I like the distance. I think that's going off nicely. So I'm not going to fiddle with that too much. A little bit of stronger colour there. A little bit here. I think this white area. It looks like water. In fact, what it is, and this is how simple you can get water with light reflecting off it in its simplest form. That's just the board showing through where I haven't painted. But the texture that I've got around that is the thing that makes it look like water. It's quite a nice illusion. Right, so I'm going to get a stronger bit. Now this is light green with even less oil. So I'm going to put that there so it's quite a solid bit of colour just there. That will become clear in a minute. And a little bit more to the left of it, just there. Now, the effect I'll get with that is quite an interesting one, depending on what you find interesting, of course. So, a bit of paper. I know, obviously, because I can still see through the paint, that there's a tree here, and there's several trees next to it. So what I'm going to do is take away the green that I don't want. I don't want it there, I don't want it at the bottom too much, and I want these trees to show through the paint. So in other words, I'm painting a field of a slightly different colour behind the trees, behind this hedge line or whatever it is. I'll show the trunks and then you'll see the field again. So that will give you the feeling you can go round that structure of trees. So the bottom edge of that is in there somewhere. So what we're going to do is take the paint off to reveal it again, like so. Make this into a point. Really screw it together tight as you can, so that you you end up with something that isn't easily destroyed, nice and strong. And then I can use that to go in there, up and down like that, to bring out these tree trunk shapes. Don't want any on the top of the tree, obviously. And that brings out the trees a little bit better. And the bottom edge needs tidying. Like so. Okay, so I've got some streaks of pale yellow across, pale green across there. So we just scrub these together. And here, what am I going to do there? Okay, well, I'm going to bring the line of trees that are below it back, but leave the field in the colour that I've just applied, like so. And then the top edge of that, I think we'll have that back, that darker line. That's quite nice. And then I think the top edge of this little green patch needs to be cut slightly so that it isn't fading, it's just a different coloured field. In other words, I don't want to take it too far up that hill. Okay, that's the landscape. Am I going to do any more to that? Possibly. Possibly not. I'm just going to mute it a little bit there and there. Bottom edge up a little bit. Okay, that's that. Moving on quickly. I'm going to adjust the camera again, but I've got to watch out in this notorious room for light reflections. All my lighting in here is bounced off the ceiling. I don't have a big enough room to put lighting way over there and way over here. So the light is over there, and as I said, bouncing off the ceiling. But the problem is that when I put wet paint on up here, sometimes you get a light spot. So I'm going to point the camera up a bit. Right, so I'm going to carry on and hope that there's no hot spots. You really can't see them until you put the paint on. Well, I can't anyway. So that's all reasonably secure. Now, for this bit, all I'm going to do is just put a lot of red on the sky. It just seems to be something that appeals to me at the moment, and that is red skies. So, well, they're not completely red. I mean, just with a hint of red in there. I'm just bumbling around here looking for a brush to apply the red reasonably quickly, because I want to get this moving. Right, in fact, I'm going to use a new brush, this size, from a local hardware store. I can't tell you who makes them because it's not written on the brush. It's a mixture of bristle and nylon, but mostly bristle. And the test, I show people this every now and then, the test to see whether you've got a good brush is, what you don't want is bristles coming out. Don't do that. That doesn't do anything. Do this. If there's a loose bristle in there, it will fly out like a little rocket. And I usually do this in the shop with my back to the security camera so they can't see me. So I usually, check them out before I get them home. And this one's behaving very well. We have no rogue hairs. So a lot of oil on this, but not so much that it's dripping. I do repeat myself quite a lot. And I know that it does drive certain people completely insane sometimes, but there you go. Right, so let's just get some red on it. Fast as we can. Just a little bit up through here. This is going to be the really brief part of this video, so try not to blink. Okay, there's a bit of red in the sky. And let's face up to it, you can do this. It's like home decorating. In other words, painting a wooden door, but with a little less care. There we go. Touch of red in the sky. That's it. Piece of paper. A little bit of smudgery. Smudgery and wipery. I invent words every now and then because sometimes I find them more more descriptive. There we go. Nice bit of wipery and smudgery and more cloudery. Okay, so I'm going to bring out a little bit of the white that was there just by wiping a little bit harder. See, so that comes back. Nothing is ruined. All you're doing, if you imagine it as a drawing or painting, imagine that you've got a piece of clear acetone over the top, or acetate. I think acetone is the stuff you paint, but acetate. It's what we used to call it years ago in the graphic design business before computers, where you would put an overlay over a piece of artwork to indicate where a different colour would go. So think of it as a transparent bit of film. So whatever's on that bit of film, because what's underneath it is dry, you can't ruin it because you can just take it off again. Imagine you can just take that bit of film off and then everything that was there is still underneath. So let's get a little bit of light back on that cloud over there, just by wiping it slightly harder, like so. So there we are, we've got a slight pink glow in the sky. I think that's all I'm going to do on this video. So anyway, as usual, I hope you've enjoyed it, hope you've learned something. If you want to subscribe, thank you. More subscribers, the better. And next to the subscribe button, you'll see a little, which is down below the video. I never know if it's down there or down there, but one of those will be accurate. There's a button, it says subscribe. Next to it, there's a little bell icon. If you click on that, you'll get a notification in your YouTube page, on your YouTube page, to say that I've uploaded a new video. I also have a Patreon page if you want to donate, because paint costs money. Doesn't matter if you don't, it's okay. If you do become a patron via my Patreon page and you pay, I think it's $10, well, that may be changing. If it's changing, I'll put it in the notes below. You get a big reduction on my lessons, which I run on Zoom. The next ones coming up are in July, July the 10th, July the 24th. Not doing any in June, I'm going to take a rest. And then after July, I'll probably do 2 a month through the year. And they are 1.5 hours long. You get to see me paint something like this from scratch. And then at the end, we just have a chat about how to do it, life, the universe, and everything. And it's supposed to be 1.5 hours, but quite frankly, I quite enjoy the chat afterwards. And the last lesson went on for nearly 3 hours, so you get your money's worth, I hope. And yeah, it'd be nice to see you there. And you can ask me anything you want about painting, and I'll do my best to answer it. So there we are for now. As I said, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for being there.